Oh, that's fucking adorable. What's up, guys? Welcome to a new series that we're creating here on my channel. As you can tell by the intro, it's called Oh, That's Fucking Adorable. Man, oh man, these are the things that happen in business, specifically wholesaling, that just make you scratch your head and be like, what? What are we talking about? And my team has let me know that I have this saying. I say that's adorable. Specifically when things are not adorable, not going well. I say that, and it's I guess my way of dealing with the pain, overcoming the struggle of whatever it is that just happened. And so this is gonna be our first episode on this, and this is a circumstance that happened back 2023 during the 50-day challenge. And listen, it was crazy during the 50-day challenge. We had a lot of deals under contract, right? We 125 signed contracts. So a lot was going on, a lot of moving pieces. I basically couldn't even be a part of the dispositions and recon of those deals because I was live for 8 to 9 hours a day, every single day for 50 days straight. So there's a lot that went on, and I actually did get involved on this one on a smaller level. But let's take it all the way back. What happened here in this deal? Go back to the acquisitions. It was a live closing during the 50-day challenge. Seller was a woman that was distressed. She had a lot of kind of strange situations that had gone in her life that made her motivated, and she needed to sell, and she basically just wanted to walk away from the property for whatever she owed on it. That was like essentially her asking price on the property. So we got a signed contract. It was in a really good market. Okay. This is in one of the markets that not a high volume market, but it's in an area that, hey, if you can get it under contract, you're going to make a pretty healthy assignment fee. So we marketed the deal based off of that and got a ton of interest on the property, had multiple interested buyers. But the buyer that we chose, the reason why we chose is because, one, he came in at our asking price. Which is exactly what we do when we do dispositions, right? We don't do bidding wars, but of course, when you're asking for a healthy margin on your assignment fee, there's a chance that people are going to make offers lower than your asking price, which they did, and we anticipated. But this person came in, and they came in at our asking price, which is great. So we accepted the offer. Now that came with some caveats to it, and one of those is the buyer was based out of country, so he couldn't go see the property, but he did want to see the property prior to closing on it, right? Okay, rightfully so. But this buyer had bought multiple properties from us before. We had done business with them. Justin was the dispositions manager on this. And so we felt comfortable moving forward because we knew the condition of the property. We knew that it was a good deal. And so even if this buyer does go out there and want the property and decides to renegotiate at the 11th hour, that's okay because we had room for it. So we accepted the offer. We open up title. We go through the escrow process. Everything was seemingly moving along perfect. There was going to be no issues. And it's the day of closing. Okay, so when the actual closing is going to be taking place, this deal was on the East Coast. We start getting calls early in the morning saying that the cops are at the property. And we're getting this from the seller. Seller is like, someone broke into my property. I've called the cops. I don't know what's going on, but this might delay closing. Well, come to find out, the person that quote unquote broke into the property was the buyer. So the buyer flew in from out of country to close and walk the property. Okay. Upon walking the property the day before closing and then calling us, letting us know everything looks great, in their mind, made the assumption, I'm buying the property tomorrow. Why get a hotel? Why get an Airbnb? I'll just stay at the property that I'm buying tomorrow. As we all know, that's not okay. You can't do that. You don't own the property. I don't know where this assumption came from, but they made the decision that they were going to stay the night at the property. Now, there was some furniture that was left by the seller. So they had like a bed they decided to sleep in. And the seller actually saw the buyer still there through security cameras. That's how they actually saw this buyer there. And they saw someone at the property and decided to call the cops. The cops show up. They start asking the buyer, who are you? Why are you at this property? And the buyer is like, I'm buying it today. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And shows the contract that he's buying the property. Well, the seller shows up while the cops are there. And the cops are essentially like, okay, they're taking this contract that the buyer has, and then they're bringing it to the seller and saying, hey, do you recognize this? Is this the person that you're buying the property or selling the property to? And she's like, no, I'm selling the property to Titanium Investments, which we assigned that contract to this end buyer. And so now there's this conversation, well, who are you? From the seller to the buyer. And the buyer's like, well, Titanium Investments assigned the contract to me. I'm the actual buyer. And then the seller's calling us saying, well, who is this? And so we're like, listen, we had told you that, there's a potential outcome where we assign this property. We wholesale. We were upfront with it, but not letting the buyer sleep in the property. And this ruffled feathers across the board, right? The buyer's distressed. The buyer's feeling some kind of a way because now the cops have shown up. And I only know what has been told to us, but essentially buyer and seller are now allowed by the police officers at the property to have a conversation with each other. And buyer and seller start conversating about how this deal is going to go down. They start seeing that how much money we were making. And I don't know if I don't want to call it a coup, but kind of felt that way, at least on our side, where it was kind of like, well, hey, why don't I pay you a little bit extra? You discount the price from what Titanium, we could just push Titanium out of the way and made this deal go down. So essentially the seller calls us and says, I don't want to move forward with this. I don't feel comfortable. This is crazy. Now, listen, we could have clouded title. We could have filed a memorandum. We could have done other things. This is just a weird circumstance, right? You got to weigh your options and be like, do I want a negative review? Do I want someone going on social media talking about how I was selling my house to Titanium Investments and they sold it to someone else and let them come live in the property or sleep in my property? Like, no, I do not want that. This one deal is not worth it. And so as much as it stung, we essentially let the deal fall apart, and that buyer ended up going forward and buying the property directly from the seller. And we lost out on the deal. We got pushed, bullied out of the deal. And this is one of those circumstances where as this is going along, this is fucking adorable. came out of my mouth, because it's like, dude, not only did we pay money to generate the lead, I spent the time to do acquisitions on it, the recon of it, the dispositions. We had paid a transaction coordinator on the deal. We had, at this point, it was so far along that the assumed cash flow from the close was like assumed in our bank account. Even as long as I've been doing this, I mean, and as many deals as we've done, it still stings when you lose a deal at the closing table. But it's the nature of what we do as wholesalers. It's always a possibility. And man, this one stung. And yeah, it's adorable that how it went down. I've never had a buyer sleep at a property before. I've never thought that we would even have to explain how, like, hey, you're not supposed to sleep at the property. But it happened. It cost us the deal. It cost us tens of thousands of dollars, and also just created just angst over here at Titanium Investments. So one of the crazier situations that we've had happen during a wholesale transaction. So if you have a buyer from out of country coming to view a property the day before closing, I don't know if you're supposed to tell them, but just verify that they don't sleep at that property, because it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So that being said, let me know if you guys like these types of stories, because, man, we have so many different types of stories like this over the years that we can tell. Just crazy situations that have happened. And listen, I'll be honest. Part of the problem is that I'm a super creative person. And so sometimes when things go bad, I come up with solutions that make it a little bit of a crazier outcome if it doesn't work out for us. So we'll get into some of those. But if you like this video, you like these kind of stories, leave me a comment, say, hey, this is awesome. I want to see more of the, oh, that's fucking adorable type of stories, because we've got plenty to tell you. Make sure you give this video a like, leave me that comment, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.